Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another stock market outlook video, as well as kind of a combo weekly watch list video brought to you by Deepvue. We're going to cover a lot today, including market analysis, running through a bunch of key stocks, and I'll also at the very end kind of discuss a little bit of my process for identifying trade opportunities using different screens here in the Deepvue platform that makes it super quick and easy to identify market leaders. So with that said, if you do enjoy this video, please go ahead and leave a like down below. Really helps me out and my channel. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this every single week. Starting with market analysis, I keep it very, very simple. And this is kind of what I recommend for people, especially if they're just starting out with building a market cycle system, is just take a look at the 21 EMA, this purple line here. Let's even go ahead and hide the other ones, which is the 50-day and 200-day, and just focus on this purple line here. If we're above a rising 21 EMA, or there's a character change just below that moving average, to me that kind of flips an on switch and turns us into an up cycle. But if we're starting to break below that moving average, there's a gap down towards that moving average, we close near lows, there's a lot of distribution, that kind of starts a down cycle. So very simply, if we're above a rising 21 EMA, we're in an uptrend. We can start putting on exposure. We can get more aggressive. If we're below a declining 21 EMA, that's when to really pump the brakes, especially at the beginning. Pay attention to positions that are breaking down, breaking sell rules, and just be very defensive or short in those instances. And this really protects you quite a bit and also helps you catch those nice uptrends as well. You can see earlier this year from March to around July, we had a very long extended upcycle, and this helps you catch the beginning of it and stay aggressive throughout its run. So, going back and zooming into this recent action, we had a power move down, a down cycle up to this point. We got short-term extended from this moving average. That's another way that you can use that. How far are we from this moving average? If we take a look here and use the measuring tool in Deepvue, we got about 4 or 5% below that moving average, which is a little bit on the short-term extended side, and we couldn't push lower. That's kind of the expectation breaker here. Instead, we had an inside day. We started moving up. We were wedging upwards a little bit, and then we had the expectation breaker with kind of the Fed announcement saying they're not going to be as aggressive. And we had a very strong bar breaking up through this prior support line that then was turning into resistance, expectation breaker right below that moving average. And that kind of started the upcycle that we're seeing here. And it's been a little bit of a lockout rally. Many opportunities have been breaking out. It's amazing how quickly things can shape up, which is why it's great to have, a go-to list of opportunities. And I'll show you later on how I look for those different trade opportunities. But there's been, a lot of earnings breakouts, breakouts from tight areas during this move. And we're back above that rising 21 EMA. We reconfirmed this Friday, a little bit of a short-term expectation breaker as well to the positive. This bar, downside reversal at this resistance level. The expectation is maybe we, pull back in the short term, but no, the market said I'm very, very strong, and I'm going to break through this level, and start a potential move towards these all-time highs. Definitely, there's going to be pullbacks and short-term consolidations during this move. Often during these uptrends, we get several retests of that 21 EMA. So you got to be ready for that. But right now we're seeing a really nice, powerful move. And what would be healthy now is to see, consolidation, letting that moving average kind of catch up to price. So we don't get too short-term extended here. We're about 4% above that level. And then, consolidation through time and price, let, individual stocks do their thing. But it'd be nice to see a little bit of consolidation here and then reconfirmation to the upside, just like we saw here, a little bit of consolidation for 3 days, re-breakout to the upside through resistance. So, taking a look at the QQQ, things are good. We're in an uptrend here. And, that was kind of started on this day here where we kind of broke expectations and got above that 21 EMA. Bringing up the IWO though here, I always like to have another perspective, and the QQQ is very mega cap weighted, and that's where the strength has been this year. So I also like to consider, and let me hide the stats table. These are ETFs. They don't have earnings and sales. I always like to, take a look at the IWO, which gives a sense of how, smaller cap growth names are performing, and they've been, in a significant downtrend since that July high back around here, the 19th. They've tried to get it back above it, but for the most part, they're in a sustained downtrend below a declining 21 EMA. It acted as resistance multiple times. Then we had, a wedge pop here, if using Oliver Kell terminology, reconfirmation to the upside. We tried to pull back into the moving average, leaked below it, and we're not able to really sustain ourselves above the moving average. So mega caps continue to be a lot stronger. And I'd love to see this get back above the moving average, see broader participation. There's been some movers for sure, but it'd be great to see breadth increase and see this index perform, and just kind of corroborate that the market health is improving, and that more and more stocks are participating in a market rally. So ideally, we pop back above that 21 EMA and start to see it trend above a rising 21 EMA. We saw that a little bit, during here as well. But going back in time, a lot of the best periods you have both the QQQ, the IWO, the SPY, individual ETFs as well. All of those in uptrends together, and that just kind of improves the odds of a rally success. So I'd like to see this get back above and make its way towards all-time highs. And just to confirm, the mega caps have been super strong. Apple, strong uptrend, again, above that rising 21 EMA. Microsoft, I know a lot of people have been watching this one as well, making new 52-week highs. Again, you've got the wedge pop here above the rising 21 EMA, pulled back consolidation, a little bit of earnings, selling that was absorbed, couldn't really break further from this bar, and then a really strong rally off the bottom here. And, I'd love to see some consolidation, kind of flag this out here, let that 21 EMA kind of curl up under price, support it, form a little bit of a consolidation, re-break out here, but we'll see what's going to happen, if this rally is going to continue to move higher, or if we will see some pullbacks along the way, which I think we will, and they'll be healthy. And for the best part is, if you miss this initial move, we're just kind of getting started, and there will be those pullbacks and instances which form the next batch of tight areas, bases, consolidations, which allow us to manage risk tightly and enter while managing our risk. So let's run through a few more names here that are kind of my focus in the growth space. App, this has been a leader all year long. You can see the sustained trend above the 21 EMA. And this is also where this moving average really shines. It's not just good for indexes. I think it's kind of the best moving average when it comes to growth stocks. If I only had to use one, if I only could use one, this would be it. But let's go ahead and add back the 50-day as well as the 200-day to this plot. So here we definitely had a negative earnings reaction. We sold off hard, but we couldn't push further lower from there, and we had a nice rally here. So still a little bit of indecision. We'll see how this one progresses, but let's bring back the earnings and sales here, and let's scroll to recent action. You can see great growth expected going forward. This is where Deepvue really shines. It shows you that growth pathway. Not many platforms show you this type of granularity, both in earnings as well as sales data. And for individual earnings reports, you can see the surprise, both in terms of a percentage as well as the dollar amount surprise, both for EPS as well as sales data. And this is really what drives those earnings moves, as well as the kind of updated guidance. If you've got arrows pointing to the upside, that means this has been revised upwards in the most recent updates. I love seeing the growth pathway here, because really these numbers are what the stock is trading on. This is kind of old news here, going back a few quarters. So being able to see this growth pathway, super important for my process. PLTR, this offered a great spot here on Friday. Oops reversal. It pulled back into the high volume close from the earnings gap up day. If we go over to this quarter, you can see a 24% EPS surprise. Sales was right on the money here. But scrolling over, you can see the estimates going forward, some nice growth expected. And we had a nice push upwards, consolidation, tight area forming, and then, a gap down, and then a strong rally initially. This is kind of the best oops reversal possibility, where we've got a gap down, immediate rally, pushing through the high of the prior day, and breaking additional pivots along the way. So this was a great spot to manage risk against and to get positioned in this potential name that has AI going forward and a lot of interesting things going on with this company. And the price action kind of supports that. This power move from the earnings gap back here, this was an ideal entry spot, tight area. You can see basically no volume on this tight day here, and then it pushed out and volume comes back in, leading to this really nice move before this longer term base. So definitely a focus going forward, in addition to what I've already got on with this name, to see if I can find spots to add to my position. VRT, this one has been a longer term leader here, forming a base, a little bit of selling bars here, but tightened up. Tried to push out here, squatted, and then the next day rebroke out. This happens fairly often. It's why you got to manage risk tightly so you have the confidence to take multiple shots at something like this. But looking to see this fall through to the upside and continue into new high ground. Duolingo, this has been a really powerful mover here. And on earnings, let's take a look here. Let me scroll forward back here to this quarter. You can see 4% EPS surprise, 4% sales surprise. So not 184%. There you go. I was hovering around the wrong thing in terms of EPS surprise, profit, and nice guidance going forward. So super strong EPS gap. A lot of stocks were kind of weak on this day, and this really stood out. And then we got nice fall through here. Could have bought through the HVC there. DDOG, another earnings gapper that's consolidating tightly. It was actionable through this high, or off the lows here on Friday, and still hasn't broken out through this high. So this could be another spot to add. But looking at the most recent report, 32% EPS surprise, definitely a name to watch going forward. AMD, the semiconductors have been an area to watch this entire year. Super strong bar here after earnings, and it continues to outperform. Short-term extended, but definitely will have spots where it retests the 21 EMA as it tries to make its way forward. But super strong move from the 90s to now almost 120 in just a matter of a week and a half. Uber also super strong off the EPS moves, nice gap up here and into new 52-week highs. This has been on our radar for quite some time. After this powerful thrust upwards, it then kind of formed this base here, retested it a couple times. We actually use this example for pullback buys in a few webinars we've done, but nice uptrend here, formed out a base, and then offered some new opportunities here after the gap up and after this earnings, which had a nice reversal positive bar here, and it's just continued that momentum upward. ZS, I'm watching this versus this pivot this week. Nice base overall. Tried to push out, pulled back in with the market one last time, but then found support near that 50-day moving average, moved up, and now is forming a little bit of a tight area, or still has room to go when it comes to this tight area. But 1-2 day pullback and watching for a move up on volume through this area. CrowdStrike in the same space, a little bit more advanced. It's already pushed out above these highs. This is another name I'm watching in this space. Tesla, this is weaker. So, in terms of, growth stocks, what should you be focused on? There's some people who are just kind of focused on the same names each cycle. I personally think they all have kind of their time and place. They've got their time when they're outperforming. Tesla, to me, is a lot weaker than all these stocks. We're seeing these ones near 52-week highs, making powerful moves off lows, not less than 10% off all-time highs. This one is below moving averages, and I'm watching this just because it's Tesla and it's a good gauge of kind of risk appetite. But for me, it's not a priority in terms of positioning in growth stocks. But failed to break down here lower, so it could start a move through these moving averages. But it's got some overhead resistance to deal with, and we'll have to see whether it can kind of regain its crown and start to really trend like it has the capability of doing. But I'm always watching this one, but for me, it's not a priority. I think there's better names that are a little bit younger, more of a growth pathway. And Tesla has to prove itself once again. It's not just a great trade because its name is Tesla and what's done in the past. You always want to pick the best possible merchandise. Don't focus on subpar names. And right now, in this instance, this is a subpar name. It could definitely prove itself once again, but it has to get back above that 21 EMA and 50 SMA. QLYS, this one has had a nice powerful move. Tightening up here was actionable on Friday. Nice inside day and up move, but has yet to push out of this overall consolidation, so still could be actionable. And KD within the same space, I think is double inside days, and we'll take a look at that chart in just a minute. NVIDIA, nice move off lows here. You can see how this is a lot closer to 52-week highs compared to Tesla, but this could use some back and fill. We've got a resistance point here, so this would be a logical spot to see a little bit of profit taking. Ideally, we get a few days tight, a week sideways, let that 21 EMA catch up to price. But we can't always get what we want, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But this is kind of a double bottom move with this pivot, so we'll have to see whether this can progress and break out of these above these previous highs. Spotify, this isn't quite as powerful as some of the names on the list, but this is one that I'm watching. Basically, formed a little bit of a flag here. Couldn't follow through on a day when the market was a little bit poor, but a nice upside reversal here on Friday. So still actionable, still within this overall base. And there's a name that I know, and I'm sure a lot of people know pretty closely. And we had some decent surprise here, 261% surprise profit and increased guidance going forward. And in terms of what people use every day, this is definitely a name that catches my eye. And let's go over to a weekly on this and take a longer term perspective. You can see that we had an initial move off this base, and now we're kind of coming off the bottom. We've got this base forming kind of stage 1 base. And if we can push out, this could be the start of a stage 2 uptrend like we saw back in this area. Moving on, we've got DKNG. Really nice move after earnings, now pulling back to the top of this prior base. Great spot to manage risk against here. If it can form out here and push higher on volume. So definitely a name that I'm watching, and some nice growth numbers and estimates going forward. We're estimating 126% EPS growth next quarter, and really nice growth on top of that going forward. CLH, this one had some indecision as well when it comes to earnings. These bars here give me a little bit of pause. I often see things like this near the start of bases that need a lot more time, and we kind of couldn't push through this area. But this is a powerful name with a lot of growth potential. You can see that growth here, and what remains to be seen is how much is baked in, how much more of a pathway does this name have, because it has had a huge move over the past 3 years or so. So we'll have to see whether it's done or not, but let the price action decide that for you. ANETs, this name also pushed up nicely, pulling back a little bit to that 21 EMA. You've got some confluence here with the top of this prior base, the 21 EMA here. So if we do get a pullback, this could be an interesting spot to manage risk against. Coin had this name up here because the crypto names have been acting really well. MSTR is another name that I'm watching pretty closely. And this had a nice gap up, and maybe it builds a little bit of a tight area and then can push up higher towards these prior highs. But this does have some overhead supply to deal with. TMDX, this one has yet to prove itself. It's more in a downtrend here, still below that 200-day moving average, but really strong gap up, and some decent story going on with this one as well. So just keeping an eye on it. So those are a quick few names. That's kind of my overall focus. But let's go ahead now over to the Deepvue screener and talk through a few different screens that I run every weekend to find these ideas and kind of build my overall focus list. So let's go ahead and hide the earnings and talk about this screen, the Deepvue leaders screen. So this is designed to identify the top 50 or so names in the market at any given time. And the criteria is based on growth potential, trend, momentum, relative strength, all of that. And it does a really great job of identifying the top names in the market, pretty much during the market cycle. So if you're looking for one screen to use and you don't have time to go through hundreds of names, this Deepvue preset, which you can find by clicking screener presets, going down to Deepvue and selecting Deepvue leaders, that will load this list of 50 or so names that pretty much encompass everything that the top traders are looking for, and all the names that you see mentioned on social media. So AVAV, nice gap up, consolidating here, some opportunity there. And let's go ahead and sort this by absolute strength 1 month. So this is kind of my favorite way to go through a list of names. I sort by the top performer basically over the past month, and this is a ranking, with the higher being better, close to 98 is better than 98% of stocks in the market. And I like to run through my names, looking, sorting by that metric. So MSTR super strong here. I identify back in this area, push up from this consolidation, and super strong above these highs already. So definitely a little bit stronger than coin. But this one, is also making a similar move. Duolingo, we already talked about. Affirm, has a little bit of work to do, some negative action here, but still overall on my radar. DKNG, we mentioned. Roku. So this is just a screen. So this isn't a curated list or anything like that. And this simple screen will keep you focused on those top names. Roku, earnings gap, consolidating, something to watch here. TNK, nice trend, some early opportunities back here. Consolidating a little bit, something to watch here. Nice move up, pull back here on ARC-B. BPMC, nice power move, consolidating here. EXP as well. So there's a lot of these recent earnings gappers to choose from. FTAI, KD, this is kind of the same space as, what was that? QLYS, double inside day. Doesn't quite have the fundamentals growth numbers, but the price action has been really, really strong. It's right near a longer term monthly pivot, as you can see right here. Double inside days after this earnings gap. Bringing up Wingstop. This is acting really nicely. Nice power move here. Tight consolidation, tight area. You can see the RMV really came down, and nice push up on Friday. CCJ, forming out the space here, acting well. Nice move from this inside day. DDOG showing up on this list. LOPE, nice tight action here. RMVs coming down. LPG pulling back, flagging into that 21 EMA area, was actionable through this pivot. Nice action for 2 days and now pulling back. We'll see how that acts. Shopify, definitely a name to watch. Uber, we've already covered. USFD moving up the right-hand side of this base. Dash moving up as well. Pins forming a little bit of a tight area at the base pivots. Nice upside reversal on Friday. VRNS just trending nicely here. App, we've already mentioned here. MedPace. So you can see the names that come up on this list, and they're definitely very high quality and a great group to focus on if you don't have that much time to review a lot of names. Now super strong off lows, broke through the base pivot, and just kind of trending above those moving averages. PLTR we've already covered. Ryanair, super powerful off lows, a little bit of a lower quality name, but still, this move is definitely showing there's some accumulation opportunity here if it does offer a setup. Cyber, along with CrowdStrike and ZS, a name to watch in this space. LNW, great move here on Friday, pushing through here, closing at highs on large volume. FMX pushed higher, now flagging here. Melly also, flagging out here. Path, let's see if we can push through these highs. This has a lot of overheads apply to deal with. AO, nice tight area, definitely actionable through these pivots. APG pushed higher on Friday. CEH also continuing higher from an earnings gap. Spotify, we've already covered that one. AMP, just in a super power trend as it's been throughout the last 6 months or so. AVAV, we've already covered. Energy, nice tight area. We'll see if this continues higher or lower. This is a great kind of representative candidate from the oil and gas space. If you hover over any of these names, you'll see a little bit of a description about it. APPF, forming a tight area, nice move here, and then consolidating here. Coco, nice move off lows, now trying to tighten. Train, acting well from the earnings gap. JXN, consolidating an earnings gap. VRT we've covered. ANET we've covered. VST, pulling back to this base pivot. We'll see if we can find some purchase here. EDU, nice, beautiful trend here. DT moving off lows. MDB, this is a name I'm watching for next week. Moving up the right-hand side. Earnings, recent gap up. I'm not sure if this is on earnings. Tightening here, and we'll see if we can push higher and fall through from Friday's action. CEG, this has been a monster this year. LLI, pushing here and trying to break out of this base. NVIDIA we've covered. WDay we've covered. Wix moving off lows here. ManH, QLYS, nice action. IR moving higher. KKR also acting well. and CrowdStrike and AGI. So just covering this again, this is a screen. I'll show the criteria here. We incorporate relative strength, trend, as well as it needs to have that earnings growth, either earnings or sales growth, the most recent quarter, or we're seeing an EPS surprise or future growth estimated. So there's a great screen to run and incorporate into your weekly routine. And to basically create my list, my final focus list, I review this list. I review, going back to the Deepvue screen, the Deepvue universe list, which is looking for similar stuff, but is a wider kind of net here, going through about 300 to 400 names each week. And I look for tight areas. I look for power off lows, and then a tight consolidation. And I also run a screen that we just created called Tight Range. And this looks for stocks that are tightening up really beautifully and forming these tight areas, which are perfect for managing risk, as well as creating explosive moves to upside. So in Deepvue, you're actually able to scan for these. This is a whole list. If we load up the multi-chart view here, this is a whole list of stocks that are tightening up. You can see this one here as well, ATGE, DraftKings moving higher. You can see all these are kind of tightening to some extent, and this is something you're able to scan for and find candidates really easily in Deepvue, and you're not really able to do that in any other platform. So this is always kind of my go-to list. This is kind of my favorite type of setup. It either shows VCP candidates or stocks that have made really nice moves on earnings, like Shopify, that are now pulling back, consolidating, tightening up relative to this move. And this is the multi-chart view, which allows you to go through a lot of names very quickly, and you can quickly select these and add them to whatever focus list you currently have. So that's pretty much it for today's video. We ran through the market, stocks, just taking a step back and looking at industry group sectors. My focus is on kind of the software space, as well as any kind of AI themes out there. So that's semiconductors, as well as companies that are incorporating AI into their services. And that's kind of my focus in terms of overall groups that could potentially lead. So we've covered the market, leading groups, leading sectors, as well as individual stocks that I'm focused on. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. I'm touching a little bit on my process as well for building my focus list. My main screens are that leadership list, the tight range list, as well as the Deepvue universe. And I also take a look at pure momentum, which is, looking at the top performers the past month, as well as I'll look at liquid leaders, which is also looking for momentum, but is restricted to stocks over a certain average dollar volume amount. And all these presets are available for any Deepvue user. And we've also got a ton of screens that you can use from top traders like Oliver Kell, Ross Haber, Stan Weinstein, Qual Maggi, Ben Bennett, Mike Webster, William O'Neill, some more Oliver Kell, and we've got the Minervini trend templates as well. So highly recommend checking out Deepvue if you haven't yet. If you're using another platform, I highly recommend checking us out, trying us out and seeing if it works for your process better. We've had a lot of great feedback from people who are TC2000 users, TradingView users, especially MarketSmith users. We offer a lot. Let's go to a different stock here, DKNG, that no other platform has, such as, these estimates here, viewing the chart, analyzing that along with the data points here, as well as anything that you want to put on your fully customizable data panel that helps you review and analyze stocks and opportunities even faster. And I think all the preset screens here from top traders, that's a great benefit as well. So definitely check us out if you haven't already, deepvue.com. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end. If you're still watching, definitely appreciate you, and wishing you luck next week in the markets. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.